Welcome to the Nexus Unloaded podcast. This is Will Crozier.
And I'm Zach Congonis. We are here to bring you the best solutions to your lifting problems. Through our real-world experience, we hope to break things down in a digestible, applicable, and entertaining way.
Go, we're on.
Yes,
the people are live. They want
live.
the Yeti.
They want the Yeti.
It's
Well, they
already
got
enough
the Yeti
time
today.
with no Yeti. We want the Yeti.
It is, yeah. You needed this a lot earlier, and it would have been a lot bigger. But today, just did deadlift for dogs.
Ta-da.
That's my beautiful trophy. Let's show that off first.
Yay. How much did you pull?
A really rough 400.
Oh, only 400?
Yeah,
Whoa,
I know.
pussy.
I was really disappointed. I thought it was going to be, in my head, I was convinced it was going to be really easy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a lot of weight. But
Yeah, it's
the
slightly
biggest
heavy.
story, the bigger PB, is I pulled without a shirt on for the first time.
Yeah.
And I was in the bathroom psyching myself
Just the
up.
soft suit. The way it
Just
should
a
be.
soft suit. The way it should be, right? Yeah, like I just don't have the
The
body
traps hanging out.
I don't have traps.
I disagree with that.
The beard hides the traps.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. And then I'm in the bathroom, like messaging him, I'm going to do it. I've got the confidence. Let's go. Walk out of the bathroom, and the first thing Zach says to me is, "That's a lot of back hair."
I didn't know it was a thing. I thought
I've
I'd seen you
posted
pull-
about it like 50 times.
Yeah.
I have not seen him. I
I'm pretty
apologize.
sure you commented on one.
Did
You're
I?
like, nah. I'm just...
That's all right.
Did you hit him back? Like, that's a shit beard.
No, but it's not. It's not that bad.
It's pretty bad.
Oh, I mean,
It's not
yeah, but
great, but-
you of anyone can say that to any, like, you know.
You have beard supremacy.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So again, most people. Like, there's a couple people that have better beards than me. My brother, really, and Sam Hall,
What does his brother look like?
my brother.
His brother. What does his beard look like?
Oh man, it's red, right? It's redhead,
Oh.
but like it's really thick. But Sam Hall's beard is so thick, like it'll get waterlogged. Like next time you see Sam Hall and he has a beard, just ask me if you can touch it, because honestly, like it feels like.
This goes out to everyone, not just us. Anybody
if you
has
see him,
permission
touch it.
from us,
Oh,
from
yeah.
Anthony.
But ask Sam first, please.
Please ask his consent.
I did say ask, but like you can't get through the skin.
Yeah.
Right?
Really?
It's ridiculous.
Rock solid.
I think for you, the moustache is
Oh, yeah.
underrated. That's a thick fucking moustache.
Yeah, cheers.
It's
Put a lot
got
of
some
work
depth,
into it.
it's got some body and some volume. They're the only descriptive words for hair that I know. I'm sure there's more.
How long? Well, we had the Eugene episode where he commented on the hair, so we're just coming full circle here. But when did you grow it? When did the beard come along? 10?
Yeah.
12?
I started shaving at like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
And it was the worst experience of my life. My dad just gave me a razor and went, go shave.
Just a knife.
Yeah, no. He gave me a
blunt knife.
razor. He was like,
Go into the bush for 4
this
days,
is-
come back a
yeah.
man.
This is the level of parenting. It was like, here's a razor, go shave. So I sat there for like 2 hours. And I'm like, I'm a man now, just shaving this razor over my face for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I broke out so bad.
Just bleeding everywhere.
Yeah, cuts, rashes, pimples. Because I just dragged a razor across my face for 2 hours. Like, yeah, this is the best. Like,
I'm a man.
but no, I started growing it properly at like 19, 20, because I wasn't allowed to for work. And then I shaved it once between then, or twice. Once I shaved it for my sister's, because my dad was busting my chops about it. I shaved for my sister's baptism thing. And I was like, never again.
Regret. Instant
I
regret.
look so, I was like, how did I look?
Zach shaved once.
I somehow looked older.
Older and
I looked
younger
older
at the same time.
and just like a rough 40, right, at 21. And then I accidentally shaved it. Well, when did I meet my missus? At like 25. I was trying to trim it, and I like overcorrected until there was nothing left. So I just had to.
Just a reverse mohawk in it or something.
Man, I look like Mario. Did you see those photos of me at my Bucks on the shirt? So that's what.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right. You saw that photo?
Yeah.
That's how I met my misses.
Yeah.
Like, which is
Nice.
a huge mustache, like a 5 o'clock shadow. I look like I was from like a Mario game.
Well, Zach shaved, a year ago?
Would have been a couple of months ago. Wouldn't be a
A couple of months. Wow. Like,
It doesn't take long.
Jeez, come back. And this is because I don't grow hair. But
Yeah.
and then Mickey banned him from shaving after that because it was just embarrassing for everybody.
The only issue is I've got no chin and a very oval head. It's too long, but the chin kind of cuts off. So it doesn't really work.
It's just we'll
throughout
put a
the
photo up of that for sure.
like a Snoopy cartoon.
Exactly.
Like, what's the guy named like Peanut or whatever?
Peanut.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking.
I'm
some
with it.
kind of.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's. So today you pulled 400. It was deadlift for dogs, but you are actually 3 weeks out from Breakthrough Battlegrounds,
Yes.
which is yeah, other than ProRaw, kind of other big invite comp in Australia, some money to be won on the line, some really big lifters there. This, it's exciting. I'm excited.
Yeah. So today was last heavy deadlift. It was like last heavy
Yeah,
training.
we used this as like kind of the last training deadlift session.
And we made sure everyone knew that just to flex on everyone.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a training session. No, so last heavy, and then now we got 3 weeks. So one more heavy squat, 1 or 2 more heavy benches.
Yeah, and like you said, today's 400 was a little tougher than we expect it to be in 3 weeks' time. Anybody who's done a serious powerlifting comp knows that at 5 for 3 weeks out, like you're pretty stuffed. Fatigue, like volume is still kind of a little bit up there. Haven't quite tapered it back too hard, but you've been hitting some fairly big numbers for a number of weeks now. And the pressure's there, and maybe some of the nerves come on. Not that I know you're different.
I know you're different.
You just don't get nervous somehow, and it frightens me. And
I got a video of him saying that, by the way. At my last comp, he's like, my missus was recording, Danny was recording my bench, and he's like, he's just so calm, it's freaking me out.
It just doesn't make sense. And so to do 400 today, even if you, like you said, in your words, rough, I think is a really good sign.
Yeah, I'm happy. I went at 1,035 kilo training total this week. I'm down a few kilos in body weight because Mickey banned me from pizza.
Yeah, you hit equal PB bench literally yesterday. So I mean, you said that doesn't mean shit, but to me, like if I hit a fucking PB bench, I'm pretty tired.
Yeah. Upper body, lower body, man.
Yeah, no, they're not connected at all. They're just there's
a piece of paper, cuts it off.
Yeah,
yeah. It's in my head. I'm like, that
travel.
shouldn't be hard. Like I did upper body.
Yeah. So but what's so in 3 weeks' time? I mean, don't want to put the pressure on, but I'm gonna what are we hitting? Like, what's the goal?
Well, like I'm a total specialist. No, I like it's all I care about.
That's what
right?
powerlifting is.
Yeah, all I care about is a total. So I don't care what the individual splits look like.
Yeah.
So as we've talked about, we want to shoot for 1,050.
Yeah.
As long as why?
Mm.
That'll be number 1 male dots in Australia ever. So
What's
it'll be
the current?
Odell Manuel.
Yeah, that's
with
right.
594 or something.
Yeah, I don't know the number. All I know is that Odell is the man. He is the all-time Australian any weight class on points of anyone. He's the man. And to beat that at 125, you would need 1,050.
Yes.
To snip him, and
by like 2 points.
so that would look like it would look like roughly.
So roughly, like in my head, because I want to take every kilo I can away from the deadlift.
Yes.
As we know, boys got butter fingers.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit inconsistent.
We didn't throw the caveat out today. Like today, we did it with straps.
Yes.
Didn't have to say that.
They'll see it in the video though.
Yeah. If we say you didn't, and then they're like, "Wait a second."
Yeah, like, hey, how come you only deadlifted 370 at comp? No, so I wouldn't mind like a 420 to 430 squat.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's realistic.
Yep.
It just depends. Like we'll go for 410 second, and then call it off of that.
Mm-hmm.
But every kilo or more I can squat is a kilo less after deadlift, and then a 240, 242 bench. We were debating that last night. But 240, 242 bench.
250 according to the Instagram comments.
Yeah, minimum.
yeah. The TikTokers.
And the messages will get like, you let Anthony do 250, like watch me get stapled. Let me watch my coach get stapled. And then like what's that? So a 370 to 380 deadlift.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's well and truly possible, and
they're all realistic.
I'm really excited.
Doing them all on the day is a different story. Like one thing. That's the thing is like because you don't get a second chance.
Yeah.
So
at a third, yeah.
Yeah, so
like you need every attempt.
Unless
Exactly.
you
Yeah,
open on your thirds.
You get overhyped. Sorry.
Unless you open on your thirds, then you get 3 chances.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
It's a good way to bomb out.
Yeah, for anybody listening, because this is an educational podcast after all.
Okay.
Do not do that. Do not do that. Take our
You will notice.
take our advice from the other episode and on picking your attempts and do that instead.
We don't plan to miss thirds. That's what I always tell my lifters when they're like, "I want to open heavy." Like, we don't plan to miss your third. If it happens, it happens. But that's not what we're in the game for. Like, we don't take a risky second because you're worried about. Of course, you're nervous about your third. It's probably a PB.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna be nervous when you're lifting heavy. But I open really light because I'm really comfortable with big jumps.
Yeah.
So
I'm the same.
Yeah. So I open at like 385 and then jump to 410.
Like for me, the hardest lift of the day by far is the first squat.
Yeah,
because I'm nervous.
You're brushing the nerves off.
And then I get that, and I'm like, all right, sweet, I'm good now. And then the rest is cruisy.
Yeah,
know?
you were really nervous when I missed my opener at ProRaw.
I wouldn't say nervous. I was just like, this motherfucker. I swear, I do all the work for him,
And then I just
he has the nerve to come in here and miss.
It
his
wasn't
opener.
a depth call or anything. I just couldn't stand up with it.
What did you say to Will when you came off the platform?
I was
Next time we'll just squat.
I'll just lift it. I'll just stand up.
Yeah, just stand up with that.
stand up with it
I mean,
next
good
time,
plan in theory, but I mean, much easier said than done.
And to his credit,
I did it.
he did.
It's just
You
an
did?
upsy downsy.
You did. You
The
you
first
got
one was
back
a
up.
downsy. Second one, fuck, I forgot the upsy.
Yeah, There's two parts to the movement.
Got down there. No, wait, what?
Very
What
complicated.
now? Oh, shit.
But yeah. So I think the plan for this podcast is just to tell people a little bit more about yourself because
Oh, the background. Because I don't know.
Yeah.
from
We
the-
don't know you either pre powerlifting and then pre now, really.
From like 7 months ago, I got no idea what your life has looked like. Because I know that in the old photos, it looks like you would have been like the fun PE teacher at high school. Like the beard was a bit shorter. You're really clean cut. I saw a photo of you like in a suit of some description. I'm
Yeah,
not
that
sure.
was the one time I shaved my beard.
Yeah,
terrible.
you look like you could be like Mr. Anthony. Like,
Mr. Anthony.
Hello, Mr. But
Mr.
you're
Crab,
the
Mr.
cool,
Yeti.
the cool teacher who the kids call by their first name, but still put Mr. in front.
Teacher's always weird though, man. So you just such an insult.
It's not an
I
insult.
think they're always
No.
So
Yeah. So we're
history.
yeah. Give us this. I don't know, a slight backstory, and we'll jump in and navigate.
mix it up.
Where do you want me to start?
How'd you get into lifting?
How to get into lifting? So I worked at Crown. This place called Bachi, right? It's like a cafe restaurant, it's open 24/7. And the manager, I worked overnight, so I'd start at like 5:30 p.m., finish at 6 a.m. I did like 70 plus hours a week. And
Jesus.
I was always talking about training, and the owner, his name's Adrian, and his dad, some people know this, most people don't, like who Paul Coffer is a weightlifting coach from back in the day. And Adrian was into powerlifting, his brother owned a gym and stuff like that. And I'd always talk about, because I lifted for like a year when I was a teenager, but I just really went and did some bro splits and like,
As we all did.
starved myself and then did cardio like twice a day.
That's it.
Lost like 20 kilos,
That's
right?
where
And
it's at.
I was always talking about it, and then one day Adrian was just like, shut up, I don't want to hear it anymore. You're either going to come to the gym with me today after work or you're not going to talk about it anymore. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to go train. And so he got me in, he helped me with my form, like helped me with my progression and that. And I was really lucky I didn't have that.
How long is it after you started? Like you said, you fucked around for a bit, like we all did. Like how long?
Oh, so when I was like 16 or 17, I trained for probably about 10 months. Then I stopped. And then I started again when I was 20.
Okay.
20, just before I was 21.
Yeah.
And then so I started training. I trained for a few months and then moved to England and signed up at a gym there. And there were a big bunch of IPF guys that trained there. So one of them, his name's Ross. I'm still in contact with him. Absolute legend. He benches like well over 200. He deadlifts over 300. Like really strong guy. And they kind of took me under their wing, got me my first comp, and helped out a lot.
What was your first total at what weight?
So I competed at like 122 kilos. So I was a super, but a very light super because I didn't cut.
Yeah,
And
in IPF. Yeah.
yeah, and I was drinking beers the night before.
Nice.
My first comp. I was a bit of a big drinker back in the day, a bit of an alcoholic.
Cultivating the bloat.
Yes. Well, not that I recommend that. It's not like a flex. It was like, no, this is a sad story. So this is less than ideal.
Everyone
I'd
feels sad now.
no, I'd like go to work and just like, and then go train and then just get smashed and I like just undo all my progress. But, well, I didn't. But, so my first comp, it was in England in the GBPF, IPF, and I think I squatted like 275. I've been training for like 10, 11 months.
Fucking hell.
In sleeves.
In sleeves.
Not bad.
I benched I think I benched like 170 and pulled 300.
Yeah.
So at that point, you knew that you were good at the thing.
I thought I'd be pretty good at it, yeah. So yeah, well, I did like 735 or 737 in my first comp in sleeves.
What was the reception after that? Because my first comp numbers were actually quite similar. Actually, quite cool. That's interesting. And then, but how did you feel after it? You're like, yeah, this is me. Like, everyone else, like, holy shit, who's this fucking Yeti guy?
No, because I trained around Ross, so I just thought that was like what
Oh, so
everyone was
like-
doing.
Like,
I
I'm
was
just doing
like,
the same
oh,
thing.
this is just what everyone lifts. Like, and there was another strong guy that went around 700 at my first comp as well, and he's like 120 something as well, 130 something. So I mean, like, I didn't really think, oh, I've only been training for less than a year. I was just like, oh, this is what everyone lifts. Like,
This is the
so
standard.
I kind of and then because I moved back to Australia, I was there for like a year and a half, and then I came back here and I started training at Melbourne Uni, where like Tony Ryan that trained. So I never had that
You're
like
always
big
the weak
fish,
guy.
little pond.
Yeah.
I was always around really strong people, so it was good though because one, it keeps you humble.
It's really good. Yeah,
It keeps you humble because then you're not like, oh, I'm top, I'm the top shit, I'm the
oh
best.
man, if you were at Worlds, you would have just been like,
You'd be like, God.
yeah, you would have been like, everybody would have been bowing down.
Yeah, so but like these guys are all just like, they're like, yeah, like good lift, I guess. And like, you know, they're like, no, good stuff, like good stuff, little guy, like, and then yeah, I trained with Tony and a bunch of really strong people.
Sure,
so
they weren't that.
no, it wasn't mean. It wasn't like an insult. Ross was just like, no, that's good. Like, you got a good future. But they didn't like blow my head up, which is a good thing.
Yep.
And then I came
so
to.
much now.
I just remember coming to Melbourne Uni though, and Tony being like, "You'll never squat 300 or something like that because you don't have big enough knees." And I was like, "Ooh, all right, I'm going to show you."
Did he rock up with like a tape measure, like 2 inches too small, bro? So
yeah, get out. No,
get out.
I'd always been around really strong people. But yeah, then I came to Australia. I competed. I think once in Melbourne, once in Canberra, and my like fourth comp was Worlds, which is a terrible idea.
Yeah. Why was
Like,
that? What, pressure?
Yeah, pressure. I just wasn't ready for it, and as people know, I have really bad anxiety, and things like that. So like, you know, I was just freaking out the whole time, and I didn't really have any. So I had good guidance when I was in England, came here, and as people know who the coach was at Melbourne Uni at the time, it was a very
He who must be named.
very rough, right, and no kind of support, no building you up. Kind of just get thrown in the deep end.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there like flying to America, like dry reach, because I was so nervous.
Ooh.
And I was there, so I lost like 5 kilos, like really fast because I was stressed. I couldn't eat. I was like so nervous, and it's complete opposite to how I am now when I compete. Yeah. But I'd like throw up and stuff because I was so nervous. I lost a bunch of weight. And it tore my quad at that
Yeah,
world.
tell us the story. Tell us, because you were telling us in a little bit, like you didn't tell us the full thing, but like tell us the story of that when you
So
of how that first Worlds went.
So I've always been like, you know, shoot for the stars kind of guy.
Yeah, fuck, aim high. Yeah, love that
like,
shit.
I'm like, yeah, I could totally like PB by 30 kilos in 12 weeks. So I came out and just like had true terrible attempts. Like I think I did like a 310 or 312 second squat at that World. So I was a junior, and I came out for the third. It was like 320. And there's this video. It's where the Australian Yeti name comes from, by the way, right? So I had this really long, like not as long as now, but really shaggy hair. I didn't take care of it. Really crappy beard that I didn't take care of, and look like quite rotund. And I came out, and I'm like, yeah, come on, screaming. And I had my glasses on, these really awkward rectangle glasses as well that are too small for my face. Yep. And I walk out, and I'm like, yeah. And I grab the bar, and I headbutt the bar, but my glasses fall off. So then I'm like, oh, and I awkwardly put my glasses back on. Yeah,
so
like,
tough.
Completely kills the momentum. I'm like, oh, like look. So then I'm like, and I unwrap this weight, and I'm like, just no business doing 320. Like I had no business doing it. And I look so awkward, and then I get the squat, and I just go drop as fast as I humanly can. And I thought my
more
wrist,
rebound, bro.
Yeah, like got to get that stretch reflex, bro. Like
fucking all the tendons,
and then bounce off of your ligaments and stuff. It's great. I thought my wrist strap came undone. Yeah, but it was my quad tearing.
Yeah, it came undone.
Yeah, my quad came undone, and I felt it go like. And then the bar came in my head because the spotters weren't really that good at the IPF that year. The guy pulled me out from back underneath the bar. That was the bad year, 2016. There's a whole compilation online.
Oh, that was you were there.
Yeah.
We'll have to pull a video, I think.
Yeah, it's a good video. Like, just
great.
like see me eat it. And then so I tore my quad. I was like a mess. I'm laying on the floor. They cut the stream out, but the top comment was, "Oh no, the Australian Yeti's gone down." That's where the name came from. But yeah, no. So
how did that affect you? Because like I know that you like you said, you got anxiety stuff. Powerlifting is maybe at that point something that you know you're good at, and maybe something you identify as, and something that's like a big part of your life at that point.
So at the time, it was actually, you know, because of the anxiety and that, I'm pretty good at like talking myself through stuff though.
Okay.
As in like looking at it and being like, all right, like I feel this way, why? But it was actually a really good thing to happen because I knew where I was training wasn't good for me. I knew it was a bad environment. It was bad for me mentally. I knew the way I was training wasn't good. The way I was lifting, I had a lot of issues with my form and that. And that kind of, but I was too anxious. I'll tell you a story about my anxiety of buying stuff. I was too anxious to leave the gym that I was at. Right? So that gave me an out. I was like, oh, I'm going to take time off. I need to recover.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of ghosted and stopped answering their messages to come back. And I know that sounds bad, but that was really my only out because it was a really, like, again, a pretty, like, abusive environment.
Where'd you go to after that?
I just started training, so I worked at this place, amazing gym called Renegade MMA, right? It's a jiu-jitsu gym. So I was working out of there as a coach.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been coach. I was a terrible coach. But I was like, if it works for me, it must work for everyone else. So we'll just do 3x3 max weight, then do like 4x12.
And drop as fast as you can.
Right? And then I didn't do that. And then we do like 4 or 5 sets of 12 of bench, and then do like a bunch of deadlifts.
Yeah.
And anyway, so terrible.
Yeah,
But
powerlifting. All you need to do is SBD.
Right.
And nothing else matters.
3 days a week, and then do some pull-ups. No, so I use that to get out and look at my own training. Then I actually had this guy named Janos. He's in Melbourne, and he started coaching me and doing my programming. Completely different approach, a lot smarter. A lot more regulation with my training and stuff, and managing fatigue, fixing my form. Like he would make me do like 10 sets of 2 or 3 just because like my form was so garbage. Like, you need to practice walking out, you need to practice bracing. It was really all sub-max, but I found it hard because there's so much to focus on.
Yeah.
But he completely changed my approach to training and my form and everything. So, I had that out, and then I had some amazing people kind of be like, hey, there's a lot of potential here. And, just like with you, and you'll help me out in that. Like, a lot of people were like, hey, we just want to see you do well. And Janos was that guy. Like, he helped me a lot there. So I used that kind of to fade away and fix my stuff. And then that was the only injury I've had, like, knock on wood. Yeah. It was the only injury I had because my approach to training changed completely.
It's never been a problem since?
No, I tore it again twice.
Okay.
Like, in the following weeks.
Wait, hold up. How did you tear it again?
Like, 2 weeks later, I tried to demonstrate a front squat with a torn
you were
quad.
telling me that. Yeah.
I tore it again. And then, like, a week after that, I tried to clean and jerk 140. And I was an idiot. This isn't like...
Yeah, weightlifting's easy. Watch this.
Yeah, I cleaned it, and then it just went bang. I was like, you should probably rest it. And then I went to a physio.
Yeah, learned that lesson from there.
Yeah.
How does the current, like, ProRaw is where, like, you just nearly got first, but just snuck in there this year, and like, how do they compare to back then in terms of, like, comp atmosphere and
it's different. Like, powerlifting's come a long way though. But I mean, look.
Everything's changed.
Like, IPF Worlds was amazing. I wish I had done IPF Worlds a couple years later when I was still in the IPF. It was an amazing atmosphere. The people were really nice. Being around some crazy. I remember I tore my quad. Met Ray Williams. He was really sad for me. Gave me a hug. It was like one of the best days of my life. He was so sweet. Like, just the nicest guy ever. So it was like, it's an amazing experience, but it is a different vibe. It's really official, very, I want to say the word sterile because it sounds bad, but it's just a lot more clean cut, like...
Clinical?
Clinical? Yeah, thank you, that's the word. A lot more clinical, whereas like things like ProRaw and that, it's just a lot more fun. It's still good, it's structured well, it flows well, but they've got the music blasting, the commentator going crazy, like, in a good way, like, so I much prefer how I compete now and where I compete now. But, IPF Worlds was a great experience. Yeah. But the vibes are good now. Like, I think, at least in Australia, I'm noticing, and in Victoria, like, people are kind of over a lot of the drama, and people just want to compete with their friends and have fun now. So it's been a really good switch, though.
Powerlifting in general, I think.
People got sick of a lot of the tape around everything, and they're just like,
I
just want to have fun with my friends now. This isn't, it shouldn't be this hard.
How else have you kind of seen the sport evolve? I know for me, I've been in the sport for quite a while, but not to the length that you have. You said that it's kind of come a long way and things have shifted. What do you think those biggest alterations have been over the last couple of years?
Oh, well, obviously there was a big undoing with some feds and stuff. And I think, but that, as much as it hurt the sport and it's really fragmented right now, again, I think people are just like, oh man, I'm over this. I just want to go back to having fun. Like, it almost reminded people why they got into lifting.
Just to lift
heavy, have fun, get jacked, like lift with their mates, PB. But other ways, like, the sport's evolved in so many ways. Like, the quality of coaching has gone up massively. Unfortunately, in the swing of that, you get a lot of people taking advantage of that. But, like, people are a lot more aware of what they're doing now. People are taking a smarter approach to training. Some people, like, again, like a science approach based on training, like it's evolved a lot. I think lifters are a lot more aware that it's a longevity game, right? So, as much as you do see those people that come in quick and burn out really fast, you see a lot more people having long careers now. I'm going, hey, like, you know, I mean, what's his name? Hunt Powerlifting.
Yep.
He just did someone asked a question in one of his stories, and he just did a thing like when are you going to bench 600 pounds? He's benching like 240 at the moment. So it's that's what 20. Yeah, he's young, but he's like what 22 kilos. But his response was like in about 5 years. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot longer. Like not when I could take it. He's like, no, I got a long plan here. I got a long game here. Like, so I think it's a lot more common because you got a lot of big pillars of the sport preaching stuff like that now, talking about stuff like that. So I think the sport's evolved massively in a good way because the exposure is like huge, right? There's a lot more people involved, but there's a lot of people like, again, Nexus, like all you guys that want lifters to be making smart decisions, want them to do well in that, but you want people in there for a long time. You want it to be healthy. You want good community. That's the other thing. Like, you know, the community is just, at least for me, I've always been lucky, but the community seems, at least where I lift, and again, I guess it's around who you're with, but I don't get a lot of like toxicness at all.
Well, you've been in the heart of it. You've gone from IPF to other ones, and they used to, in my eyes, used to be a massive divide between IPF, and then there's like a wall, and we're on the other side of it, and then it's like, nah, you guys are shit, and it's like, nah, you know, like it was very, very much a barrier.
Very juvenile.
Whereas now, I don't know. Yeah, again, you've been in the heart of it more than me, but like I feel like we're over that now.
Yeah, like almost, again, there's a lot more people are kind of just like, hey, we're all doing the same sport, we just choose to do it a bit differently. Whether it's tested, untested, whether it's wrapped, not wrapped. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it's not less, oh, this is an untested gym, this is a tested gym now. Like, you know, it's like you get people from everywhere lifting here. That's how it should be.
Do what you want. Lifting.
Like we're all squat, benching, and deadlifting. Yeah. It's like you know, you're not going to catch anything from someone in untested. But it was almost like that for a long time. People were scared of it. Whereas now, like, we've got people from almost every federation in our gym, and we coach people in every federation. Again, a lot of the barriers are broken down, which is good because the community is just so much better off for it. And again, you know, you don't want to feel judged just for where you compete.
For sure.
You should definitely never feel like that. And I think that's gone away with back in the day. Yeah, you did feel like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's reflected so heavily in the caliber of the youth coming up as well.
Yeah.
Like we have a couple of like 18-year-olds pulling massive weights here today, just kids being so much stronger.
Everyone says this all the time, but the sport has just grown. Like,
it has.
So much. I just like the numbers you see people doing now. I'm just like, this is just stupid. like I wish I was like 10 years older and I was at my peak like 10 years ago, because then I wouldn't have to compete with all these freaks.
Because they're being exposed to all of this good quality information. Like the first year of your training, it was just arms and it was just arms.
And they start way earlier.
All I did was eat microwave chicken breast and couscous, and then like once a week I'd have a cheat meal and eat a bunch of fried Mars bars.
Fuck yeah.
And then you have these kids now following proper structured plans in good environments.
And a lot of that comes from the coaches, though, and that as well. And, like, again, and there's young coaches people can relate to, but also it's not like there's not that elitist, or it's not common anymore, that elitist thing. Like, people want to see people do well. Like, I'll have people hit me up all the time, and they're just like, oh, you know, I know you coach, but can I just get some advice? I'm like, yeah, man, I got 5 minutes. Like, send me through a video. And I don't want to sit there and coach everyone for free, but I'm also happy to help someone out. Like, that's how many people help me out. You know what I mean? On my way up, like, so many people. Like, that's how me and Will started talking. Will was helping me out. He's just like, hey, what are you doing? Can I, like, you know, because he's like, I just don't want to see you hurt yourself. But that's, you know, more common now. You don't want to take advantage of that, but I think people just genuinely want to see people do well now. Yeah. And, like, you know, I know, like you don't look at someone lifting heavy and feel threatened. You're like, oh man, I want to see them go really far. I want to see what they're going to do in 10 years. Yeah. And I love that about this sport. Like, the community is, like, so really bad ADHD. I don't stick to stuff very long, but the community is what kept me in powerlifting. That and like the dopamine hit from PBing, right? But the community, like I've met my best mates in powerlifting. I've made so many lifelong friends. Like, they will come to my wedding and stuff. You know, it's just it's really good to see, because you hear about what it was like back in the day, or you see it and you're like, oh man, I would not have lasted. You know what I mean? Like,
let's start. You mentioned, like, in previous gyms, it was a very different environment and very different world, and also like the culty kind of action, like between federations and the gyms being different feds and all that bullshit. But like, obviously, I just wanted to talk about you as a gym owner, because you are now. Let's talk a little bit about your gym and how you went about building that gym based off previous experiences. Because, like, you had the gym in England, you had the gym in Melbourne. You, like, obviously, like, you liked and didn't like things about them, and you built Apex into what it is today. Like,
So
How's
one
that?
of the biggest influences for how we wanted to open Apex, because Tyler and I always talked about opening a gym, but when I was at Renegade, they got a lot of members. It's jiu-jitsu gym, right? But Jamie is the owner, and Jamie Murray, there's like 3 owners, but Jamie Murray runs a lot of the classes and that. And I've never seen such a large group of people just have each other's back and just, you know, like, yeah, you know, you're always going to bat heads with people. Like, you're not going to get along with everyone, but you're also an adult. So there was never like drama in there because people just talk about it and be like, you know, we can think differently in that. And there wasn't, don't get me wrong, there wasn't much drama there, but Jamie like made this, and the Renegade community made this gym like this amazing space where there's always someone to like, you know, talk to if you're having a rough time. Like the amount of times Jamie sat there talking to me, I'm not religious. Jamie's very religious. Jamie, you know, and he know that, but he'd be like, hey, do you mind if I pray for you? Like, you know, because he just cared, and that's him like trying to help and everything, right? They genuinely he cares about every single person that walks through that door, and he wants the best for them. When I went to work there, Jamie was like, where do you see yourself with Renegade in 5 years? And I was like, man, I don't. I see myself opening my own gym in the next couple of years. And he was like, cool, I want to help you get there. And he gave me heaps of advice. Do you know what I mean? Like, and like he knew I was going to be short term, but he took me on. So I was there. Tyler would train there, and we were just like, man, we want this, because I didn't have in Victoria, at least at the time, have a good experience at powerlifting gym there. Well, like, we want to make this space in powerlifting in our sport, because I had a tiny little area at Renegade. Like I had 1 squat rack, 1 deadlift platform, and 1 bench. It was tiny. Yeah. And Jamie bought all that stuff for me to coach there, and it was all Alico too. Yeah. Like it was insane. Like he put a lot of money into it for us. But it was really small. So we wanted to kind of like take a little bit of that and put it into powerlifting. So that when we could, we opened this tiny little, like 120 square meter gym, tiny gym. But we really just focused on community and like the people. So like someone's having a rough time, I'll sit there and talk to someone for ages about what's going on. And just, you know, sometimes people just need an ear. Yep. Like you don't sit there, I'm not trying to give life advice, but they just want someone unbiased that's going to listen. And you know, we just wanted to transfer that into powerlifting. So that's really the main reason I opened the gym, because I was like, I wanted a space like that for powerlifters. And you know, we get a lot of people when they come to Apex say, oh, you know, the vibe's completely like, they haven't found a vibe like that. They haven't found a place like that. And that's always like a really happy moment for me, because that, even though we've expanded a lot, we're a lot bigger now. I've been happy that we've been able to keep that kind of community aspect of it. Like people still love training together, always looking out for each other. But that was my main goal, honestly. It wasn't like, you know, Tyler's the businessman. You know, he handles like the money side and that. Like I do my best. I'm not very good at it though.
Once a year we have a meeting. Are we doing well? Yes. Okay,
yeah. Like he like inform me every once in a while when he does all the like the zero stuff. And he'll be like, hey, we're doing really good. I'll be like, yeah, sick. Like
this is great.
You know, he'll just fill me in. But like for me, and it still is like that community aspect's the biggest part. And you see that a lot with my like socials and that, right? But so it's good that the gym's doing well, but it's doing well because that's what we really push for. And it's not hard to do, because people like, we don't have to sit there and you don't have to filter everyone, because people that, I don't want to say they don't fit in, people that like want to cause trouble and that, just, they don't stay there long.
And at last. Yep.
Yeah, because no one else like facilitates it. Yeah. So if they're there, they're like trying to cause trouble. Someone's like, oh, I'm not going to do that. And it just kind of like talking to a wall. So it's really easy for us now, which is good, but yeah. And
you learn from those other gyms the things that you didn't like, you learn what you did like, and now you built it up, and now you got this really tight-knit community there. I've been to the comps that you run across multiple feds, and they are a very similar vibe. It's a very community culture. Everyone's helping each other out, having fun. So you've built that aspect into it as well, because like you said, it was very different in some of the places in competitions that you were before. Yeah,
it's one of those things, right? Like, and that was back in the day. Like we've had it for like 5 years now, Apex, 5-6 years, something like that, like 5-ish years. So you know, again, sport, there's a lot of clubs that have opened up or evolved since then, which is amazing to see again, because you don't want to feel like we want to be the only one. Like you want the whole community to be amazing. Yeah. But yeah, no. So like it's done really well, and I just had the biggest mental blank.
That's all right.
It's like when you put that much genuine care into building that community, it can't not do well, because people see that, people perpetuate that attitude. And like you said, with the majority, like there's so many powerlifting gyms now. I remember when I first lived in Sydney, I had to drive like 2 hours to find a decent gym to just go train with like-minded people. And I think that the more gyms that open up or perpetuate that attitude, which you're a proponent of, it just makes the whole community better for it.
Yeah, and like, you know, more gyms is like better. Like there's enough lifters to go
There's
around.
so
This is
many.
like, it's not like we've got Avia near us and we've got a couple other gyms near us. It's not like, oh, we need to compete with them. Like it's, you know, 15 minutes away is far enough for you to have a completely different group of people in. But like, again, like we want to see all the other gyms do well because it's all better for the sport. Do you know what I mean? We want to see the sport like, so we've got people that come in that have never competed. We got people that are Gen Pop. They come in and then they like look at it and they're like, oh man, this is like really cool. I want to. They come watch a con, they come help at a con, like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, and more gyms doing things like that. Like, Avia have a good mix of, like, different groups of people. But, like, again, it all helps the sport grow. And that's what we want, right? Like, we want to, like, I want to leave the sport better than I found it.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure most people do.
Just a quick sidestep, but like shout out to the Nexus crew, gym here, the gym members, but also just competitors here today, because I was really happy with the community vibe we had today. Like even after people that competed, like just vacuuming and helping clean up after it and just helping us put things away and shaking hands, getting photos together, just laughing with each other. Like such a good vibe.
It was great. Like,
so happy how today turned out. So shout out to the people today because it's exactly what you were talking about.
like, yeah, and you can see that though here. Like, you know, that's why I'm Nexus. I'm so comfortable because everyone's so nice and welcoming.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they don't sit there and like, that's the new guy. Like they come there, hey, this is so and so. Like, nice to meet you. Who do you train with? Like, it's really good, right? Like,
Just like Kiva.
yeah,
I feel like we
yeah.
can't
He
not
was so
mention
Kiva is
excited
a
for
legend.
everyone today.
He deadlifted 400 today. That 400 was his that I did.
It's actually
I told
his,
him
he did
that.
it for him.
I've never seen like he was more hyped than anybody on the platform.
Yeah.
I was
But it's awesome. Like you see
Yeah.
kids like that coming up, and it's like the sport is in good hands.
Yeah.
If people
we're
like
headed in the
him
right direction.
are pushing hard.
Yeah,
So
let's read his
this is a
comment
message that Kiva sent, and it says,
through to.
I absolutely love that man with all of my heart and wanted to cry in that very moment. Exclamation mark ×3, all in caps. That's so
Is this the
cute.
All in
Yeah.
caps.
So cute.
He's
You
so
read it in
sweet.
his voice. Shout out Kiva for sure.
He's an absolute
Big time.
legend. I'm very glad I got to meet him. Like,
I'm
really
sure
nice.
you'll see plenty more of him.
I
'Cause
hope
he
so.
has a big future.
He does.
But I don't
625
want to give him
total.
too much though. All right, Kiva, you still need nah.
Just
nah. But
gonna cut him down a little bit, leave him just jaded enough
Yeah.
so he tries really hard.
he's doing well. But yeah, as a coach as well, let's explore all aspects of the Yeti here. But you've grown as a coach. Yeah, again, like the gym, you had access to some coaching that you didn't like so much, something you did like so much. You just did SBD with chin-ups before. That's very different to how Nexus prescribes our training. We take a slightly more, I call it like a long-term development approach, but like trying to build in long-term aspects like hypertrophy and good movement, as well as enough specificity that we can keep SBD moving forward, albeit maybe a little bit of a slower short-term approach if when needed, but really focusing on that long-term development. But how have you changed over the years as a coach, I would say?
So learned a lot about training and like, you know, how to train, how to coach and like how to program. Learned a lot from you guys, you know, and have had a lot of good resources along the way. But yeah, like that back in the day, I was like, this works, right? You just get someone to squat 3 days a week, and their squat goes up. And why are they injured?
Yeah,
No,
it
so-
does for a certain amount of time.
I had to, again, just like with my own training, take a step back and look at the way I was coaching and start actually learning and putting the time in to learn, like, and read and talk to people because, like, you know, I was really lucky where I did anything and got stronger. And then really, and I like didn't really get injuries, and it was really, it's not a flex. It's just, it is what it is, right?
You're like one of those really hearty house plants.
Yeah, like,
Just I will grow under any conditions. And
No,
some people like
I
that
got stronger
orchid
on
in the
like
corner.
7 days a week training and like 2 days a week training. It doesn't matter. Like at the time, it's a lot more important now.
A little more structure.
Yes, a lot more structure. But I had to like take a step back and be like, hey, I'm hurting people here. Like I wasn't coaching many people. It's like Tyler, my best mate, and Bastion. They were kind of like experiments at the time, and they were just constantly hurt. And I was like, oh man, maybe just slamming someone with heavy work isn't ideal here. And that's when I started, actually trying to develop as a coach. A lot of it also though was the way I approached coaching on a personal level.
Yeah.
So I don't have my only coaching.
Not just a spreadsheet.
Yeah, not because you got to coach the person, right? The human being. We're dealing with people here, and everyone's different. But when I first started coaching, like I use that term loosely, I was like, you just insult people, right? You just tell them they're hopeless and useless. And,
that's the weightlifting way. Yeah.
right. And so I used to do that, though. I did that. I lasted a few months. And then I would go home every day. I'm like, oh, I'm so anxious. Like, everyone doesn't like me. Like, I wonder why. Like, because I'm sitting there just pretending to be someone I'm what. Yeah. Like, it's not me, it's them. Like, I was making people, like, cry in the gym.
Oh, Jesus.
Like multiple times. I was like, oh, that's not me. I can't do that. Great. Like, no, so there's been a lot of developing there as a human and a coach.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think, I got in, I was like, oh, I'm strong. I know how to get people strong.
Yeah.
And then I'm really lucky again, and like my mates are honest. And we're just like, hey man, like you're not doing the best here. Like, you need to actually take some time to learn and like Tyler and that have always been really honest, and like, yeah, then I started surrounding myself with good coaches and using those resources. And again, like whether it was, Nexus mentorship and stuff, or it's like, shout out to Nexus mentorship, really good. Or even people like, I learned a lot from Cody Lefevre, GZCL. Like, he was my coach for ages. And again, I told him when I started, because I was with him years ago, but I was like, hey man, I want to learn. I want to be better here. So he'd answer all my questions, and we have like he'd send me heaps of resources and that. So I think for me, it was just, I don't know, that's how I learned, just talk to people. And
yeah, I think knowing why you're doing things as a lifter, like in that Cody example, I think that's a really overlooked aspect of coaching sometimes. Like, if I can just say to you, like, okay, yeah, man, just do 5x5 squats. And you're like, yeah, okay, sweet. And then you go do 5x5 squats, and maybe you get stronger. Great, good story. But I think explaining to people, like, we're going to do this because of this, and it's going to work this way. You don't have to go super deep, and it's obviously dependent on the person and how they respond to it as well. But explaining why always gets more effort and more just like consistency in people. Like they go like, oh, I'm doing this for a reason. Sweet, I won't skip it. Like, I'm not going to skip my split squats because there's a reason. Like I see deep thought on the face.
Yeah, no, it's guilt. like skipping split squats. I was like, yes.
Everybody splits. That was just a bad example. Cause
yeah.
I
think you mean single leg press. No, you're 100% right. I forget who said it. Like, it was a coach online, but they're like, if I'm coaching you in 6 months, you don't know why you're doing things, or you couldn't write like some kind of program that makes sense, I've probably not done the best as a coach. Like, I'm not just throwing numbers at you. Like, and again, not everyone's interested in learning though. Some people just want to come in and be told what to do, which is completely fine. But if you have a lifter that's interested in the sport and you've coached in 6 months or a year, and they're like, oh, why are you doing this? Like, I have no idea. Do you know what I mean? Like, they should have some kind of idea. Like, I think it's important also, again, because the moment something gets hard, if you don't want to, and you don't want to do it, if you don't know the reason behind it, you're just going to skip it.
Correct. Buy-in.
Yeah. You're like, I'm out. Yeah. Like, this is hard. Like, let's just bail on this. I don't like this. And, but if they know why, they're going to.
Yeah. I just wanted to point out, because it's interesting that you, like, you're the same. Like, you're chasing, like, oh, why am I doing this? Oh, yeah, that sounds good to me. Let's do it. Put in effort, And it's interesting for me that you've been that way for a long time, because obviously I've only known you relatively short term. You were already the Yeti when and now we were just continuing the Yetiism.
Yetiism. One of my lifters said to me recently, he's like, oh man, like, I've coached him for years. So he was back in the Renegade days. He got punished with stupid program. His name's
Shout
Will.
Out that guy.
Right,
yeah.
Will, absolute legend. But he was just like, yeah, your coaching's like way better now. He's like, man, it used to be really bad. He's like years ago. Like, he's like every time you've had a new coach, like you've changed for the better. And he's like, and you've learned a lot. And he was like, it was like a really nice compliment. He's only young. He's only like 22 too. Yeah. I started coaching like 17. But he was just like, yeah, even he knows. He's like, man, like, it's really good changes. And he's like, because he was talking about, but it was really nice to hear. Like, that someone that's been with you long term that sees that change is like,
it's good to have that relationship with clients. Not many clients that come forward and say that. I don't think anybody would go like, hey man, yeah, you're way better. You used to be shit house. Like, what the fuck?
Man, all my clients are like that.
Well, that's good. That's an open relation. The last thing that I had to talk about, and if you wanted to hit hard questions, Zach's hard questions, but I want to talk about the nutrition side, because not only are you a beast in terms of just strength and just like your first comp was fucking strong as fuck and cool, but you've absolutely transformed into, as Zach put, the school teacher.
From the school
from
teacher
the school
to a
teacher
whole heap of man.
into the Yeti that we see today. And nutrition still there's wanted pizza last night for dinner, and Mickey had to crack down and give you no pizza, but
At least I listen now.
did listen, but yeah, when you
No,
hear,
I haven't eaten pizza this week.
this
too
week,
late.
it's been
We have
2
time
days,
after
Mickey.
this.
Jesus.
Versus like 14 times a week before.
Yeah. Tell us about
No,
like
so legitimate. So again, a
so
lot of it
IPF
comes.
days. What was it?
A lot of it. Oh, bro. Oh, okay. So no, a lot
Give
of
us
it
a-
again
give us a
comes
day.
back to just knowing the why behind things,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I'm thinking about LSD. I used to get up. I lived with my grandma, my Croatian grandma, absolute beautiful soul. Knows nothing about nutrition. She used to cook for me though. It was
Yeah.
very good. Like, I'd take her shopping and stuff, and
Heart
I'd
in the right
drive her
place.
places, and then she'd cook my food, right? And it was outstanding. But I'd get up, I'd eat like 6 sausages, or 4 to 6 sausages. I'd eat like 12 eggs, and 6 to 8 pieces of bread every single day.
Protein.
Right? That's for breakfast.
Fuel.
And then look at Mickey's face, man. He's just like, I wish I had a photo of this. And then I'd just eat like pork chops and KFC and pizza and a lot of beers.
Yeah.
And that was just like, I legitimately, but that's what I got told to do.
Yeah.
I got told
Okay.
from my coach
Just
at
to
the time,
eat.
like this again, it wasn't a good thing, but they were just like, I was already like really heavy. But they
Was that for gaining? They were like, oh, hey,
They were
man,
like-
you need to mass up.
They
So,
were like, yeah, just get as big as possible.
Yeah.
Just eat pizza and KFC all the time. Sit down. They like, you drink a Coke Zero. They'd be like, drink a normal Coke. Right. So like, and you
fucking oath, man.
and you were like, yeah, like all right, but then
Calories.
yeah, that was the thing, right? But I got up to 145. I started
Yeah.
lifting at like
Not
100
big enough.
kilos.
What did you ever do any silly gaining phase when you first started?
I couldn't eat enough. I think the biggest that I got, how
Not
big did
trying
I
hard
get? Like
enough, mate.
120, like low 120s,
Not
and
enough
that
pizza.
took substantial effort.
Because when I very first started, there wasn't, as you said, the information of today, and you'd just go on like T Nation and read some articles and be like, fuck yeah.
I drank 3 liters of milk every single day while I lived in
This
England.
is
Of
me.
chocolate milk because Brandon and Lily said to do
Fucking
it.
hell,
Easy.
yeah. So for me, it was the Go Mad day, and so like I was in the Navy at that point, and they served us meals, just like kind of bulk cooked meals. So we got to come down and get that. And I used to go down, and I'd get a meal made, and they weren't massive, so I would try and go back for seconds. But the chef was a little bit strict, and he'd be like, "Nah, no seconds today." Or sometimes like I'd go back and be like, "All right, you're allowed through now because enough people have been through."
Dude,
so
I
like.
need my 12,000 calories.
That's exactly. He didn't understand the gains, the trick to the system was they didn't keep an eye on the milk, and so I used to just so I used to with my meal go over to the fridge, just grab a 2 liter out, and just slam it with my lunch, and then slam another one with my dinner. Good times. Just the milk gains. Some
Navy recruiters listening to this, like right now, protect the fucking milk.
So you,
Change the systems.
Like just touching back on that, for back in the day, see, a lot of my changes have come from
Yeah.
a lot of undiagnosed mental health and that, just not caring about myself. So I didn't care how I looked. I didn't care how I felt. I felt like shit all the time. And it's not until you feel good, you realize, man, I felt terrible for like 10 years now.
Yeah, but did you feel good in the gym? Because for me, it was like I feel
No,
terrible on
I
the
was
outside.
hungover all
but-
the time. Like,
I felt awful
like I
in
felt
every
terrible
situation.
all the time. Like I felt slug, and that's why I remember one day I was at one of the nationals and I was looking at the other supers and I was going to go up to 160.
Oh.
Right, I'm not a tall dude,
Yeah.
and I just turned to Tyler and I was looking at the supers. I was like, bro, I don't want this. I was like, man, I love them. Like they're amazing guys. I was like, they like couldn't put their socks on and that, but I was going to do that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, I don't want that. I want to feel good. Like, I want to feel healthy. I want to, but a lot of it was like, I just didn't care about myself. I didn't care about anything except getting stronger. And so I just put whatever in my body, and I had bad advice. So nobody's sitting there eating KFC for lunch, like a bunch of sausages, a dozen eggs for breakfast, and going,
I feel
this
great.
is good for me. Right. But I just I didn't care. And then you become a little bit more aware and you start caring about things. You're like, well, living to 50 would be really nice, like, or past 50. Like, I don't want to have a heart attack in my 40s or 50s. And, you start to care more. And it's not even just it was just a lack of care. And then meeting people like Sam Hall helped me a lot with, like, just being like, dude, you need to learn to moderate. Because he's like, you can eat vegetables. Like, you don't, like, you can eat. So I was hungry.
Exist.
So I was eating like a kilo of vegetables
Yeah.
in one sitting. He's like, dude, like way too far on the other end now. He's like, come on,
Extremes, yeah.
he's like, you've completely missed the middle ground here. Or like Mickey, you know, like Mickey's really good at explaining why like things to me, like, you know, but also if it's not easy, and I struggle with a lot of things. If it's not easy, I won't do it. So like adding spinach before I microwave my meals, you know what I mean, to the top of them, things like that, making it really accessible, really easy. So again, it's just surrounding myself with people that want the best for you, but also know what they're doing and explain the why behind it. Like, and that was a big change for me. You're like, oh, this really isn't that hard.
Was there a time that you can remember? Because I remember mine, but is there a time when like you started to take the nutrition seriously and then you went, oh, this shit works?
Yeah,
like,
when
wow.
I lost 25 kilos and my total stayed the same. And I was still
Yeah,
in IPF.
And you were just like, wow, this shit works. Like,
so I
holy
went
fuck.
from 145
It's
to
not all
119.
Magic.
And my total stayed the same. My bench dropped quite significantly, but like that was fine. My deadlift went up heaps. My squat stayed the same.
Yeah.
And I was like, I
And you're
feel
way
better.
healthier.
I'm performing better. I'm training really, really well. You know, I don't feel like I'm choking all the time. I'm not out of breath getting out of my chair. And you know what I mean? So I was like, back in there, it was like, get bigger to get stronger. I was like, man, I'm really strong now because I'm eating more like an athlete and taking care of myself and sleeping 9 hours a night. And
That's a good point. Yeah, a lot of powerlifters, they say, yeah, I want to be the best, I want to win it, but like the only time they act like an athlete is in the gym.
yes.
And even then, it's like, you know, not really.
And then they'll sleep 4 hours a night because they start playing video games and drinking beers, or they go
and
they're like, oh, you know, I take this super seriously, but I just want a 3-day Coke bender.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Though it's like, hey, like, you know, training hard and like Mickey said it to me only not long ago. She was like, hey, you know, we know you can be really good. You say you want to be the best. Are you really showing that in what you're doing? Yeah. And I was like, no. Like it was
be the best overall.
She said it was tough love. It wasn't even tough. It's just a reality check, right? Like, are you doing well? I do a lot. I sleep enough. My sleep's really good, like, and that. But then, you know, going home and smashing 2 family pizzas after eating these, like, that's again, like, it's funny, but it's funny because it's so silly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, no, like, and
it's not the athlete.
It's
mindset.
really not that hard for me not to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just at that point being silly, lack of care. Like, you fall into old habits, right? Like, and but like it's not a confronting question because you know the answer. You're like, well, and she didn't say it aggressively. It was just a question. Are you really showing that? And you're like, well, if you're honest with yourself, no.
But on that same token as well, it's much easier said than done. Like to say,
you can't just go all in at once.
Yeah, it's silly for me to say that I sat here and ate 2 family pizzas, but sometimes that's harder for someone to do than training.
No, again, it's not black and white, right? It's not just clear cut all the time. Like, and people have different struggles. Again, like I really, and there's reasons why I struggle with like moderation. I'm either all in or not. And it's something that, I can know. It's like, you know, the RP you mentioned on the other podcast. Like, I know what it is. I know how to implement it. I program with it, but I have, you know, issues like with like ADHD and that, and it's like I know this is not logical, but I have other struggles and it doesn't matter. As in, like, I'm good, but then again, it's like I could just be doing better. You know what's better? You know what's better than 2 family pizzas? Get a small pizza if you have that. Do you know what I mean? Though, like it's like you don't need to just be like, oh, I'm going off, so I'm going all in. Like, it's like, you know. You don't need to buy the $3,000 TV just because someone asked you if you're looking at TVs at Costco. I sat there for like an hour debating that. So I was telling him about how I anxiety buy stuff, and I was at Costco, and one of the people that worked there were like, "Oh, you know, I was just looking at the TVs because I got distracted by it."
It's pretty colours.
It was like, "Hey, it's a pretty TV," and then she's like, "Oh, do you want to buy one?" I was like, "Oh, like a." Maybe, like, it was like, I guess, like,
let me see if I can refinance my
home.
home.
I was like, well, like, you know, do you reckon my fiance would be mad if I walked out with a new TV today? Like,
you're a seller's best dream.
Oh yeah. Like,
well, do you have any questions that you wanted to?
I don't have any questions, but I think we can close out on, seeing as that we were at nutrition, the chicken shake story.
Oh, yeah.
As you were talking about last night, and I think that not everyone knows about the chicken shake.
Let's explain why
the chicken shake needs to be talked about.
Blaine Sumner, amazing powerlifter. Yeah. Equipped powerlifter, IPF. He was raw. He's very strong raw as well, but he has injuries, so he does equipped. Yeah. IPF lifter.
Legend.
Absolute legend in the sport, right? Like, maybe some of the younger lifters might not know him, because equipped's kind of like...
Look him up.
I was like, look him up. Vanilla Gorilla on Instagram, right? He's only like 30, by the way. Like,
really?
Yeah. So I think he's born in like 93. He's a year older than me.
Christ. It's just a huge human.
That's a lot of human. Very, very strong. But he does these things called the chicken shake. So he puts a bunch of, and now he does it with steak. It looks terrible.
Steak shake.
So but he's got this really big industrial blender, and he puts like rice, spinach, and cooked chicken breast in there.
It's a normal meal,
A
just
full meal in the blender.
Blends it up, and then he like holds his breath and chugs it. It's kind of his thing, right? And he's like, there's nothing like a chicken shake. So
it's
I
the bulk. Yeah,
was a young lifter, and I looked at that. I was like, yeah, I'm like playing something.
the secret right here.
Yeah, this is how I'm gonna squat 500 kilos like him. And I got my $15 Kmart blender. Right? And I put this chicken and this rice in there, and it was still warm. Right, so I put it in there with water and I blend it, but it just kind of like puts the chicken into chunks and it doesn't blend the rice. And I sat there and I'm just like trying to drink this stew, right? And I'm sitting like gagging, I'm like chewing it as it's going because it's not blended well, right? It's like legit big chunks of chicken, so I'm like having and like it's getting caught in the, so I'm like pulling it out of the shaker, like eating it, and I'm like gagging the whole time. And that was the first and only time I ever did.
I was about to ask, did you go back?
Nah. Like
that was it.
Man, like I got a good blender now. I probably could, but
that'd make a good reel.
Let's have a mass gainer shake.
That'd make a great reel. Like try it, chicken shake 2.0.
Yeah, bring it back.
No, Mickey just held up a sign saying Zach's pig impersonation.
Oh, yeah. So.
What's this?
Please?
Yeah, I don't know this.
Yeah, you're going to be...
Yeah, okay.
Zach's really good at impressions.
I'm fantastic.
We know from previous episodes, yeah.
If anyone's heard, like, a wild hog, the noise these things make is unholy.
So I thought he was going to be like... You know, like...
Yeah,
like,
pretty,
you know, it's a pretty...
Not bad.
That's a pretty good pig impression. I was like... Every time I do that in the gym, I was like, like, that's awesome.
No, that's good.
This is another level.
So, should I take this off? It's going to... Should I move it further away?
Yeah.
I'll distance it.
Yeah.
This is... It's how into it. You get your elbows are going everywhere. Like
this is what the podcast is about right here.
If you're gonna do something, you do it fucking properly.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. That's better than any lifting I've seen in the last 10 years.
Yeah. This is what people come to the podcast for. We frame it as educational, but it's we know what gets the likes.
So please, if anyone wants to do a story of your best pig impersonation, and tag us.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
if you want to make money, just ask me to buy something last minute.
I can.
A lot of takeaways.
A lot of takeaways.
You can start a new company called Only Hogs.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I'm subscribed already.
Well,
if anyone wants to subscribe to my Only Hogs, please check my bio. That works on so many ways.
And we'll leave that. And for the real ending here, tell us. We'll put them in the show notes anyway. But where people can find you, where people can find your gym, and just give us the rundown.
So on Insta, I'm the Australian Yeti. Just write the Australian Yeti.
Good memes.
Comes up. Yeah. Good. Oh, great. Oh, Callum. Great memes.
Shout out Callum. Good memes.
Shout out to Callum. This dude trains at the gym. He just randomly in my inbox every few days is like, dude, I made a video for you. And it's just like crazy memes. And the gym is Apex Powerlifting on Instagram. It's the one with the big triangle.
Yeah, if you're in Melbourne, check it out.
Coburg North. We're right near the train station, so very convenient.
Excuses.
Literally zero excuses. Very good pricing.
Don't. Yeah,
I'm just joking.
Nah, it's good. You'll be there. All good. End.
Thank you for listening to Nexus Unloaded. Be sure to jump on our website to find details on everything mentioned on today's podcast, plus information on our coaching, mentoring, and gym services. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at NexusPerformance.Aus for any updates on what we are currently doing. See you all in the next episode.